peoples? This is EvanForGrips.com coming at you with another live sweat session video from Betfair.com. Today I'm going to be playing 6 tables of 25.50 no limit. It's a pretty good limit. In fact, I believe it's the first limit where you can start making, real money. Enough money to start having some fun with, start making some cash outs, start really enjoying what you've been working so hard for. So it may not be the promised land that a $5-10 no limit game is, but if once you take your $100, your $50, whatever, and you run it up to enough that you can start playing 25.50, you can start making those cash outs, and you can start enjoying the benefits of being a poker player and cashing in the rewards of those hard-earned dollars. So we're just gonna do live sweat, take it as it comes. I'm going to be using my heads-up display. We'll obviously be consulting that in various spots, and hopefully we can win some money again. Been doing pretty well lately on winning sessions for videos, so just hope to keep it up. Button opens enough hands on the button. 3-bet the king jack from the small blind. I would advocate following a 3-bet or fold strategy from the small blind for the most part. Just calling raises from that position just puts you in some awkward spots. You can get squeezed a lot. You can play hands multi-way where you have both the worst relative position and the worst absolute position. So that's obviously no good. And I guess that's it. Also the fact that when you're in the small blind, you're always going to be lacking position. You might as well try to pick up aggression, have a little bit of that triple threat working in your favor. These pocket tens, I'm going to 3-bet, and if the guy 4-bets, I'm calling. He's got 30 big blinds, and hand like pocket tens against a 30 big blind stack is generally going to be an auto stack off. The guy is somewhat loose too on table 6. The only exception would be if you had an extremely tight player who just always plays that stack size, then you might think twice before just auto stacking off 10-10. Queen on table 3, I opted to slow play. Give my opponent a chance to flop a worse hand, disguise my hand, and just if I 3-bet from this position when he raises from such an early position, odds are he's going to continue with a very narrow range, and I don't really want to manipulate his range such that it mainly contains hands that beat me or, play well enough against me and can make easy decisions against me. It looks like table 1's breaking. Good thing I prepared. New table 1. Non-stop action. Just going to fold now. And I think this guy checked. Yep, okay, we'll bet. Take one shot. Bet 1, check 2. Generally gets the job done. Until you start dealing with some higher level thinking players, and there are few and far between of those guys at 50 NL. Oops. Not a big deal. I only meant to raise that to $1.50. I'm just going with the 3x raise from most positions, but on table 3 I will go with a 2.5x raise, which is also fine. Not a huge difference to your bottom line whether you're 3xing, 2.5xing, min raising. A lot of it's a matter of personal preference, and then a lot of it's a matter of style. If you're playing, generally the tighter you're playing, the fewer hands you're playing, the larger your opening size should be to allow you to at least play big pots the few times you do play pots. And then for players who are very loose, who are playing a lot of hands, you might want to consider raising smaller because you're going to be playing out of position more, you're going to be getting 3-bet more, you're just not like auto winning the pot as often, so you might as well play smaller pots. It's not to say you have to, that's just the reasoning. One of the reasonings behind varying your raise size. Ooh, looks like the king queen is slash was good. I don't know if it's good anymore. Check and decide. If he checks, we win. We win. And you see, I did exactly what other people probably aren't doing at these limits, which is checking the flop with the intention of not folding. Pocket eights. So on that flop, he probably calls a bet anyway. So it didn't really make a difference how we played that hand. But gave him an opportunity to put in some money drawing dead. Let's say he had eights without the heart draw, then he's pretty much drawing dead. So yeah, that's why I check. Ace 10 offsuit, table 6, nah. Not a must play. Can play. Definitely optional play, but not a must play. Ooh, there are some crabby cakes on today. I'm seeing like 54, 40, 75, 25, 100 BPIP on some guys. Great games. Great flops too. What up, 2Ps? 2Peasy. Obviously going to c-bet on table 2 with the intention of building up this pot. Table 4, good looking hand. Bad position, bad aggression, type player, not playing. Table 6 could go either way. This guy is rather loose so far, so I'm going to squeeze and call it off against him. If the pre-flop caller there, premium raise, decides to do something funky, I will probably fold because he probably wouldn't do anything funky with a worse hand than ace-jack. Just a call. Hope he's not slow playing. Gotta fire off one bullet on the old king-high board. King Queen's calling, Ace Ace is calling, pretty much everything else is probably folding. So of the hands that call the raise and call the re-raise, a lot of which are pocket pairs, I think I'm going to be able to get a good amount of them to fold on that flop. And I'm laying myself like 2 to 1, so I can manage a 33% success rate there, I think. Weird. Checks back. Yeah, is he going to make me look stupid with like 9s or something? He could slow play king queen, but I think he would bet that on the turn. So if he has like 9s or 10s, this might work. It's not guaranteed to work though. He could still hero call because, I mean, I'd probably keep betting the turn with a king. So it's like, well, what hand am I really taking this line with? I don't know. Nice. We got him. Whew. It's close. He should have bet the turn. Silly. This guy on table 3 looks passive so far, so I need to maintain the betting lead in the hand. If he was more aggressive, I could consider going for a check raise on the turn. It's kind of gross, whatever. I call. Best hand here. Got him. Yeah, if he was like somewhat aggressive or the kind of guy who likes to like float a lot of flops. For those of you who aren't familiar with floating, it means calling on the flop with no hand, no draw, nothing but the intention of taking the pot away on a later street should your opponent slow down his aggressive actions. King Queen suited, awesome hand, awful position, awful situation I fold. Throwing out there. Yeah, so if he's the type of guy who's like more aggressive, who likes to float a lot and then like try to steal pots, then I can consider definitely checking that turn with the intention of most likely check raising. Check calling is possible, but only if I think he's gonna then follow through with his bluffs on the river. Pretty high expectations for that to be correct. I think I'm going to value bet on table 6. But given that the guy was reasonably passive and just looked more like a stationy type player who would only raise with like his really good hands, betting seemed to be the way to go. So as to not allow him to pot control or decrease the size of my victory should he have like a queen or something that wouldn't give me all the action. If I just let him control the action. And I have figured out what the chewing sound is. It's me. I mean, the proper term for it is called sucking the teeth. Some people call it kissing the teeth. It's when you put your tongue against your upper teeth and then get a lot of pressure going on in your mouth, suction, and then you remove the tongue from the teeth. I will try to do that less. It's just one of my, bad habits. Although it was never bad before I started recording videos. So I don't know that then makes it bad. Anyway, is what it is. In donk bet, we have a little equity on table 2, so we're going to call and just see what happens here. If he keeps coming at us strong, we'll probably let him have it. I think he has a 9 of bunch as well as a queen. Not too many 8s, so I don't think there's too much value in betting here. I'm just going to check back and hope that we can show this hand down. Oh shit, we're out of position. We're in the big blind. Totally misread the action. Well, in that case, probably should have just folded the flop. Here against Manassi, I'm going to call, try to make top pair. King Jack off is, I mean, it's an okay hand to like, nah, it's not. It's not a good hand to just 3-bet and get all in against this guy. But he definitely raises with worse kings and worse jacks. So if we can flop a better pair than him and then just trap him on him having a worse kicker or just a worse pair, we can comfortably get the money in. Now with second pair, I'm not going to fold right out of the gate. But if he plays really aggressively, I might give him credit for having the ace or better. Now I pick up a flush draw, so I have more equity against a lot of hands, and him checking looks good. Might have the best hand. Yep. Since I wasn't comfortable just getting all in with that hand, though, there's no sense in 3-betting it. Yeah, 10 jacks, so had him totally dominated. If a jack comes, I get his whole stack. But if I 3-bet, he's probably not even seeing the flop with that hand. He's probably just folding, so give him a chance to get off the hook, which is not what we want to do. I've been getting a lot of questions about my heads-up display, and for sake of simplicity, sake of non-confusion, sake of ease, sake of many things, I'm going to be redesigning my HUD for the videos and making it much simpler. I'm going to remove a lot of stats and just keep what I feel are the most important stats. So it'll probably be a HUD of like 6 stats or something. But yeah, that will be a surprise for next video once I get around to it. Okay. Got 3-bet by the button. Table 3. Now, I've been told that folding here is out of the question, and it's absurd. This hand is way too strong to be folding. If we're folding tens to a 3-bet, what are we calling with? Well, the guy hasn't 3-bet yet, and 4-bet getting it in seems bad. Playing out of position with a hand that doesn't flop that well seems difficult. We're going to get barreled a bunch. So I'm actually just going to advocate folding in that spot. If you're up against like a really tight opponent who either has, a bigger pair or overcards that he's going to play similar in fashion to how he would play his big pairs. So you're not really going to know where you're at, per se. And being out of position, it's hard to deal with those sort of situations. So, whatever. We fold. If it turns out he's 3-betting a lot, obviously we are not going to stick with that default of folding. But, I mean, the first time an unknown pops you in that position, with no real reason for you to think that he's doing it light, folding is an option. I'll just say that. And then table 6, in most situations, I'm not calling with 6s from the small blind, but this player on the button is extremely tight. So the implied odds are most likely there if we can manage to frappas it. Maybe he's got ace queen and we win. Maybe. Damn. Alright, suited ace. It's a pretty strong hand on table 3, especially getting such multi-way action. So, gonna see the flop. Hope to flop a lot of equity so that I can continue. And this flop with a gut shot, well, we'll see what happens. Some really tight players in these games. 11, 8, and 14, 12. That's tight. I like it. I like it. It's good for anyone who's willing to splash around, to have like really, really tight players in the game, because they're just kind of pushovers. They'll let you do whatever. Oh, I have a set. And a check. This guy is the pre-flop raiser. Yes, I just call. Try to rep that flush draw. Hope he tries to move me off it. You guys are like, yeah, I have quads. Well, if he has an ace, I don't think he's going to bet it. So I'm going to bet really small to try to get called by an ace and maybe even called by some other stuff as well. I guess he just had like total error there, because I think a spade draw would have probably bet the turn again. Table 2, gonna call. It's a tight player's open and there's a loose bad player in one of the blinds, so there's a decent chance that he comes along for the ride as well. And on that same table, I flopped a full house. But being up against a passive guy, I need to build the pot, so I just bet really small. Hope he calls with a really wide range. I don't know that I get all in by the river with this hand against his nothings. If he has a queen or a flush, he's going to check raise me anyway, so we can build the pot. Oh man, 5s. They're both tight, but that's pretty expensive now. Just pass. Yeah, if he has a real hand, he'll like build the pot with me. But if he has a nothing hand, I do the best job of getting money in the pot by keeping it small. And I'm just going to call and let him bet the river. Although re-raising here is probably okay, since a passive player like this probably isn't check raising without a hand. And if he has just like queen jack or ace queen, no club, and the river's a club and kills my action, that kind of sucks. But I don't think that's the case. I think he just probably has a flush. Oh, worst boat. Jeech, bro. And there, looking at his particular hand, it didn't really matter how much I bet. So if we were being results oriented, we wouldn't give a fuck about betting small or trying to mix up the bet sizing. But if we're looking at overall game plan, macro poker, it's important to make the best play against the opponent's entire range of possible holdings. So that's why we did what we did. Queen 3 suited table 3. That can be a defend, for sure. Today, I don't really feel like defending my big blind too much. There are just so many bad players spread out amongst the tables that I think I can just play position aggression selection and get the job done. So that's what I'm going to do. I mean, I don't even know how long the video is so far, but we're up over $100. So that's pretty good. I got top pair on one of the outer tables, which you know about it. Question: does it bother you guys that I play outer tables while playing the main tables? Because it takes some of my attention away. So it's just poker, 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 no life talk. But at the same time, it means I can occasionally bring over exciting hands, and there's almost a guarantee that we won't have just total dead time the whole video. Damn Alphaguito, blasting. I raised pre, I check called flop. This guy's pretty aggressive, so I think he's going to bet the river as well. And I don't want to call the turn and the river, so I'm just going to fold on the turn and save money, because there's no point in me putting in money on the turn if I'm just going to fold the river, and I think he's betting the river most of the time. That's not to say for sure that we were beat. He could be betting that with pocket pair with a club. He could be betting that with the ace of clubs, as well as flop flushes, better king, worse king, but I don't think he's calling my raise with a king 10 or king 9, so if he has a king, he has a better king. Just overall against the whole range of hands that would be betting hard and fast like that, I wasn't really feeling it. And I know in the last video on Party Poker, we got into one of those spots where it was just kind of like a spew. So I like to just fold on the turn. Can't fold on the flop. Not checking it. Check fold the flop. Ooh, straight flush draw against a cannon. Actually, let's slow play. Just call. Blind versus blind. C-bet. Straight flush draw. Not folding. Straight. Make a really tilting raise on table 3. If he has a 10, he might stack it. And even if he has 8s or 9s, you might think this is weird and try to stack it. Okay, donk bet. How about more bet? Raise it up. Build that pot. Feeling really good about these queens on table 3. I think we might get the whole pile. He was bluffing. I think that raise on extra table was fine though. If he has a piece of the board, even as weak as king 10, he's not folding. And if he's totally bluffing, there are still a bunch of shitty cards that can come on the river in terms of action killers. Like if he has 2 pair and the river makes a 4 straight possible, then that sucks. And white magi, you're getting 4-bet, and I'm not folding. Timed out on those sevens. There was just too much other shit going on for me to figure out what to do. So I definitely didn't play the sevens on table 6 as well as possible, and that's also one of the downsides of me playing more tables. But I think overall we gain more value than we lose from having these extra tables. And you see the slow play with the queens worked out really well. Buddy called us down with ace high. What an idiot. Man, look at me. I'm calling down with ace high. I'm calling down. Oh, he's got 2 pair. Oops. And if we 3-bet those queens pre-flop, we don't win that money. Now what he thought was, what 2 do we have? And why would we raise a 10? So what hands are we actually raising with there? No hands, nothing makes sense. And when nothing makes sense, people usually lean towards calling. It's actually a fine strategy. The key, though, is to make those adjustments to your opponent's range if they're possible, or they're capable of slow playing, and then you can make a more educated guess as to what their hand is. And some things that may at first seem like they don't make sense because there's a little bit of non-standardness to them do make sense. Yep, just practice. Damn, no one gave me action on my aces? Tilt. What happened here? He raised, I called. Meh. Looks like a good flop for 2 sevens, but he's probably going to bet at least 2 streets, and I don't really feel like calling that, so I just fold flop. Same thing as the king jack on the earlier board. Just if you expect them to bet and you're not willing to call down more than 1 bet, what's the point of putting in the first bet? Think about it. Putting in money with no expectation of any return ever, it doesn't make a lot of sense. Give this guy a straight. Damn. That guy was bad. Jukey Pecky. And for that reason, maybe when he donked the turn, I could have just called. Even though the 10 would have been an action killer. If he's just got total air balls, there's no such thing as an action killer. He's just going to represent any card he can. So it's possible that I made a mistake by raising with that straight against him earlier. It's an interesting spot to consider, for sure. I'm going to call this guy just because he's like rando cannon. He could have me beat, but he could also not have me beat. I think he would have bet an ace earlier, so it's more king that I'm worried about. Yeah. Oh, they both had kings. That's pretty funny. But whatever. Small loss there. I was just taking my pot odds. Check raise. Just because this guy opens a really wide range, so there are lots of hands he has that aren't super strong right now. And I have a gut shot and backdoors and 2 jacks that I'm going to get all in on table 1. Guy seems active enough. Now, jacks are not auto get-ins. Please, please, please recognize the fact that just because you got dealt 2 jacks does not mean you should try to get all your chips in the middle in 100 big blind deep cash games. Some situations they're good enough to get in. Other situations you have to play them very cautiously. It's really easy to get your money in as a 4-1 underdog, which is really bad when you're dealing with a full stack. Kings are always going to be fine to get in. Aces, well, duh. But even queens, sometimes you'll have to be careful with. I'm going to check. Queens, sometimes jacks, often 10s, 9s, usually be careful with. They look good, and they are good hands, and there's a lot you can do with them. But just getting it all in pre-flop, not the move most of the time. Ace king, usually get all in. Guy raised me blind versus blind. I called, then he checked. I'm just gonna bet, make the hand easier to play. He check raised me. Now I feel dumb, and I'm gonna fold. I don't even know. That's one of those tough spots, and that's what happens when you defend marginal hands blind versus blind. You get into tough spots. If you don't know what to do in those tough spots, well then, don't be defending junky hands. Even hands that seem like pretty good, like ace nine off's a pretty good hand. You still don't have to play it there. If you're playing in really tough games, yeah, you probably do, but you're probably not playing in super tough games. You don't have to take every spot. You can try to pick up that dead money on table two. Guy posted, so he has any two cards, and I raised, so. Fire one off. Hope he has ace high or some small pair. It's a fairly connected board, but I have a gut shot. He's got random cards. Whatever. Damn, Brams. Really put me to the test, eh? I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to bet here. He's not folding a queen, and he would check the turn with a queen, so he has those. Probably doesn't have a 10, but whatever. And actually, a lot of the flush draws he can have, I actually have beat with my king high. So, that's the one flush draw. But you know what? When he rivers that 4, he probably just calls. So I was unlucky that those hearts were hearts and not anything else, because if it was queen 10 Dewey, any other suit, he's folding in my c-bet, so the play is totally fine. I'm cool with it. Ooh, yes. Getting to play a re-raise pot with a retard. Retard. I'm gonna slow play this ace king. Table 3. It's one of the hands he won't expect me to have. It's also one of the hands he's going to be trying to represent himself. So, good start. We flopped a pair. Call. Queen Jack got there. Oh no. Don't think he's 3-betting Queen Jack. Queens and Jacks are more likely. Hands we'd have to be afraid of are more so 10s and 9s. Because he would 3-bet those. But, he's still betting his King Queens. He could be 2-barreling an Ace Jack, Ace Queen, club draw. So I'm going to keep calling. Weird river. Ooh, got Jack 9 suited in position. Not playing. Okay, so that river is interesting because it technically improves our hand, giving us 3 kings instead of 2 kings, but in terms of relative strength, it didn't change anything. If he has 10s or 9s, he has a full house, which still beats our trip kings. If he had a flush draw, he improved to a flush, which has us beat. If he has pocket aces, we beat that, but he's probably not continuing to bet with that. So the one hand that we still have beat is king queen, and given that the rest of his range has us beat, even though we're slow playing and we made 3 kings and a 3-bet pot, I'm going to fold. That sucked. That kind of sucked, but shows that sometimes you gotta just abandon ship, change your plan, and just evaluate all the information that's out there. And just because your hand improved in terms of literal strength, it really doesn't matter. It's about your hand's relative strength. That's why, sometimes it can be correct to fold like the second nuts on the river, but it can also be correct to call with like, I don't know, ace high when there's a fucking 4 straight on the board or something. The game's all about relative hand strength because, I mean, absolute hand strength, what are you comparing your hand to? The chart of what hand beats what? Well, it only matters against the opponents you're playing against, right? Okay, well, I'm going to play a couple more hands, so we'll get that last table in there. Line it up all perfect because I have OCD. Nice. That bottom one doesn't line up right. There we go. That's a little better. Good spot to call with a pocket pair. Table 6. Missed my set. Again, looks like a decent board for pocket 5s, right? Only one overcard. What are the odds that this guy c-bets and then shuts down? And even if he does and he has 2 overcards, he still has 24% equity against us. So we're losing the pot 1 out of 4 times, and yeah, just throw the hand away. Okay, White Magi has been 3-betting fucking heaps. So we're gonna 4-bet him, and we're not folding. He's the kind of, see, you see, he's got a 15% 3-bet on table 4. 5% 4-bet range. The guy's just out of control. So against him, I think it's okay to just intend to stack off with the 2 10s. Could be that he 3-bets a lot and doesn't 5-bet a lot. I don't know. But I'm just going with the information that I do have. Ace King suited, also just going to slow play. I mean, I don't even know if slow play is the right word with Ace King, because on some level you're trapping, but on another level, most of the time you do need to make a pair to be able to call down the whole way. It's very interesting. You're a pretty squeeze happy guy. But I also imagine this guy might 4-bet a bunch. So we'll just make it small. Table 4. Isolate table 6. Timeout table 3. Raise table 2. Wow. That's pocket kings. That is pocket kings. Kings, 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 kings. 1 king, 2 king. How do you get 3 pairs of kings and not see a single flop? Crazy. Alright, I'm thinking one more orbit. One more orbit. Damn, 3-bet again. Let it slide. 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 There will be a next hand, so let it slide. Free 10 cents to the first person who identifies that song and actually wants the 10 cents. Are you even allowed to send 10 cents on Poker Stars, or is the minimum chance for $1? This guy's tight. I'm gonna actually fold ace 10. Probably could call it, but I mean he's tight. Ooh, nut. Nut. Gotta keep building that pot. No slow playing. No slow play. What are we gonna do? Check, and if it goes check, just bet 30 on the river into 16. That doesn't make no sense. Nah, we set it up for a pot size bet on the river, and then we don't quite go all in. I mean, probably should, but just don't. And we're never checking. This guy's passive. He's not gonna bluff. Ace queen, table 4, call. Try to flop a pair. Probably never fold. Call. I mean, we got flush draw, top pair. I'm just going to call, and I'm going to call the river. If he has total air balls and he wants to keep bluffing this board, there's no sense in scaring him out with the raise. If we didn't have the spade, we might want to do that because the spade can come and then we have to fold to the river, but just not. And if he has a flush, I mean, it's unlucky. No, we had him. Had him. Had him. Got him. He had the ace spades, can't really blame him for his play, although on the river I don't see any point of going all in. Be interested to know why he did that. Probably because he just didn't know what else to do. But having the ace of spades, it makes perfect sense to keep betting. Although check calling is also a perfectly good option. You kind of have like the best possible bluff catcher for that scenario. I guess people lack creativity and make dumb plays. So the reason that we call the 3-bet with the ace queen is because they can be 3-betting with worse aces and worse queens, and if we make top pair, we can stack them, feel comfortable calling down, not have to be afraid, and like second guess, like, oh man, like I got top pair, but can I really call down with it? I don't know. And also, if we 4-bet, we're not going to get 5-bet by hands that we have in bad shape. Like that ace-10 is not going in the middle. Well, his chips aren't going in the middle. His hand's probably going in the middle. They'll get it in with pairs that are flipping with us and ace-king that have us dominated. If you're dealing with a real psychopath, it's fine to felt ace-queen pre-flop. But those guys usually only come around on the weekend. And you're probably getting it in much wider than just ace-queen against those types of players. You'll know them when you see them. That's for sure. So, not too bad. I think we made like just shy of $200 on this session. Let me just check. Okay. 174. Played 19-15, really tight. 3-bet of 4%, really tight. But as I've been preaching at these limits, that it just doesn't matter. People like, I'm playing 19-15, and that guy still just tried to bomb me out with ace-10 in a 3-bet pot. Like, they're not paying attention to stats. That's all there is to it. So, if tight is your style, then tight's definitely right. If you're the kind of person who likes to splash, though, don't try to cater your game and try to emulate the way I play. I heard a good quote one time that if you ever try to mimic someone else or copy someone else, you are doomed to find failure. The secret is not to try to be someone else. It is to try to take the best characteristics of other people that you can find and add them to yourself to create your own persona and style that has the best elements of many other people, but is still at the core you. Because if you're trying to be someone else, you're going to be uncomfortable, you're going to be unhappy, you're going to be finding situations difficult. You want to be yourself, you want to be natural, follow your own style, and make it the best it can be by taking little pieces of others, not by trying to become them. I'll try to find the exact quote, because that was very long-winded and not quite correct, but the gist of it is that don't try to be someone else, just try to share their best characteristics if they feel natural to you. Okay, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please leave me your comments and feedback. We'll keep them coming. Probably do some bankroll challenge this week. And yeah, please like us on Facebook because we are selecting students now for next week's free coaching. Don't want to miss that. And for those of you who don't have Facebook accounts, I don't want to say like you have to make one, but follow us on Twitter if you have one of those. And if you don't have one of those, if you're a YouTube subscriber, like, I don't know, send me a PM. And then I can maybe like pretend that you liked us on Facebook. I don't know. But yeah, get those likes in. We'll be coming at you with more instructions. Also, make sure you are signed up to the grips.com website because we are going to be communicating with you guys about these things via email. Registration's free. We don't spam. In fact, in the year or so the site's been up, I don't think we've ever sent out an email. So don't worry, we're not like that. The only email you'll get will be one telling you about the free coaching, how you can get it, how you can be involved. And yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait. So, this has been Evan for Grips.com, and now it's your turn. Go out there and get stacking.